Hey brothers, what's going on? I'm here actually to post the link to the video that I got taken down, got flagged down, and tell you where it is because it's actually on Black Spot. So I'm going to leave the link in the description where you can actually find it and actually go see it in all of its glory. It's about a 32-minute rant, and and I was listening back to it myself and said, oh, that's actually pretty good. And normally I don't say that about my rants, but actually I was actually listening to it, with fresh ears, because normally I don't really go back and replay it after I edit it and actually put it up. I actually kind of like, it is what it is. But I actually went back and listened to it and I said, oh, that's actually not bad. I said, I actually had to pat myself on the back. I said, that's one of the better ones I've done in the past couple years. And I don't often say that about my rants or my rambles. But go listen to it. And for those that haven't seen it, it's not, I guess, it's not suitable for YouTube. Let's put it that way. Because I don't think it was up 8 hours before they flagged that bad boy down. But there's a couple things I want to address. One, I want to address is the subject about respect. And before that, I want to talk about something because I was looking at Tariq Nasheed, and he was actually going in on this particular person. I'm not going to mention her name. And he pointed out something that I didn't catch. I didn't catch because this is YouTube, and sometimes things aren't quite as real as you would like. And if you don't see a person face to face, you're going to miss things. And Tariq, because Tariq has been on the street a long time, he's been out there, he noticed things that I didn't notice. And what he said made a lot of sense. And after he said it, it made me kind of feel bad. Even though in the video, I didn't really go in on her per se. I went in on the logic. I went in on the argument. I really didn't attack her personally. I never called her any names or said anything about her personal life or anything else like that. It was a general conversation, and I was actually answering the questions or answering the arguments and actually putting out my sentiments about the arguments, and that never really got personal. And Tariq mentioned something about her wig and her eyebrows and things about her makeup that I didn't catch. He said, and we had to go back and look at it, and said he might be right. He said that this particular YouTuber may be suffering from a health crisis, may be suffering from severe alopecia, or as he said, cancer. Because he was saying that she probably doesn't have any hair, and it's probably coming from things like radiation. Now, I don't know whether that's true or not, but he pointed out that in his observation that that is probably the case. And afterwards, as soon as he said it, I felt bad. I felt bad. YouTube is not one of those places where I like to attack people personally. I really don't take things that personally on YouTube because it is what it is. It's one of those nebulous gray areas mediums where shit gets thrown back and forth. And I've always taken a live and let live attitude on YouTube. Even with people that disagree with me, even people that have attacked me, I've always taken a live and let live attitude, because at the end of the day, dude ain't coming up, he ain't messing with my kids, he ain't shitting in my yard, he ain't doing nothing physically to me. And I'm too old to get upset over words. I may get a little excited when I get more excited and probably upset about intellectual arguments in intellectual disagreements than I do about personal attacks. I really do. Personal upon me, let's put it that way. But I felt bad because if the stuff she says is about her trying to make a living on YouTube the best way she can, I don't have no beef with that. And if she is using YouTube to actually make her way under her circumstances, if Tariq's analysis is correct, and I don't know if it is or not, because she hasn't said anything one way or the other. But after going back and looking at her pictures with fresh eyes, the sympathy may be misplaced, but if what he said is true, she has my sympathies and almost like my admiration, because she's doing the best that she can. I might not like how she goes about it. I might not like her rhetoric. I might not like her the portrayal that she has in front of the camera. But at the end of the day, you know, YouTube is a gig for a lot of people. It's an outlet for me. But so for some people, it's a gig. I mean, it's a job. It's a way to make money. It's a way to make a lifestyle. It's a way to entertain people. I mean, you don't have to be a Marcus Brownlee with 7 million subs and making, you know, $1 million a year for it to be a gig. If you're making a couple $1,000s a month or $1,500 a month, and that will help you get by in what you need to do as far as living is concerned, you know what? I'm gonna applaud you, you know. In fact, if it's your gig, especially if you're a black person and this is your gig and you got to make it in this world, I might disagree with you, but to make it as a gig, as hard it is for a black person to make it in this world, I might even help you. So if Tariq is correct in his assessment, and I don't know that it's true, I'm gonna put it out there, I don't know that it's true, then I don't have any facts, and this is not me spreading a rumor. If what he said about her is true, then she has my apologies, my sincerest, deepest apologies, because as soon as he said it and I look at the picture, I said, oh shit, I felt really, 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 really bad about the emotion that I put into the video. Even though what I said, and I stand by everything that I said, because everything I said was correct. Everything I said was correct. In my opinion, it's the way I felt about the situation. But the anger expressed toward her opinion, I felt bad about. Now, if his assessment is not correct, well, then, you know, I have to take all that shit back. But I'm looking at it, I'm looking at the circumstance, I'm looking at all the different things that I've seen over the years, because it's odd. Her appearance is odd. The way her delivery is odd. And now it makes sense. At least this scenario makes sense. If that's the case, I will humbly apologize, not for the argument that I made, but perhaps some of the ways that I made them. Anyway, let's get back to this about respect. I'm gonna do it a different way. The argument is, why should black women respect black men? That has been the argument of the gender wars for the last 10 years. Why should black women respect black men? And even coming back toward it, vice versa. Why should black men give black women the respect? But that was not the question. The simple answer is because those are your men. And it's if those are your men, and you say those are your men as an argument, then you have to build a foundational relationship with that said man so that he can do his particular duties as a said man. The first duty is to have a relationship with you. And if you listen to any psychologists, whether they've written books, they're in clinical, they're even on the Oprah show. The first thing that they say for a healthy relationship with your significant other is you need mutual respect. You have to have mutual respect for the other party. There was a psychiatrist. I can't remember the study. I have to look it up because it's been, good God, it has to be at least 20 years since I first heard it. And it has to be at least 10 years since I last looked it up. But the psychiatrist that did studies on couples. And if I find the video or I find clips of the video, I'll actually put it up to give additional information to my argument. He said, well, there were 4 things that will absolutely destroy a relationship or a marriage. But a partner to partner, especially a male to female relationship, there's 4 things that will destroy a marriage. And the number one thing, there were 2 things that I remember. One is mutual respect, and the other thing was contempt. And I especially remember the word contempt because he said that was the number one predictor of whether a relationship was going to stay together or not. If one of other parties had contempt for the other party, for the other partner, then a relationship could not and never could not be healed. He said it was like a 97% predictor. If he saw contempt from one partner to the other, they counseled them separately. If that other party could not get over that contempt, they always advised that those two people divorce and go their separate ways because the partnership could not be healed. And the 2 things that are destroying Black people's relationship, and that's something I keep pointing out over and over and over again. Men keep talking about it because they know that this is destroying the relationships. They know it is lack of respect and low-level contempt. Those are the 2 things that Black women have for Black men. And sometimes it's so hidden, it's so normalized, as the feminists would like to use, the word feminists like to use, normalized. And it has been so baked into the culture, so baked into the way that Black women see the world because it's been taught for so many generations, that Black women really cannot, literally cannot see it. Literally cannot see it. Which is why they really go back and protest that it's not there. Or if they do see, it is pointed out, they come back and they blame it on external things. Like it's the man's fault that I don't have respect for him. It's the Black man's fault that I have contempt for him. And they use all these other different external things like wealth, like the position that you're in society, like all the other influences, the same influences that they actually respond to, like admiring white beauty. So they can, Black women can put in green contacts and change their hair and lighten their skin and all these other things that try to fit the white standard of beauty, because they've been brainwashed. And I'm not saying that it's their fault. They've been brainwashed in this society to see white as a standard of beauty. They say they have contempt for their men because men are not supposed to be susceptible to that brainwashing. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's an excuse for Black women to be brainwashed by the dominant society and by the images that you see out there, and the promotion that white women get in this society, because it is, it is their society. and they control the purse strings. And women are susceptible to it and they feel bad about it. But black men or the black boys that come up in the society aren't supposed to be affected by it. Cognitive dissonance. And that it comes up not because it just not logical. It's not because they don't see it, because they see it every day. It's happening to them, so they know it's happening to black men. But the thing is, they use that as a reason or as an excuse for their contempt for their men, as their low-level disrespect for their men. And sometimes it's not even low level. And that low-level disrespect and contempt comes from black men and black boys being put in a position that is not of their choosing. They didn't choose to be at the bottom of the economic barrel. They didn't choose to be in the crosshairs of white supremacy. They didn't. Fortitude and will is not going to make that white employer hire you. Fortitude is not going to make that white supplier do business with you. Fortitude and will is not going to force investors to come in and boost up your business like they do white businesses. There ain't no angel investors for black people. The IRS is not going to look the other way when you make a borderline decision on your taxes. The cops are going to bypass a Korean, a Mexican, and anybody else on the street that's street vending and won't bother them. But you, they're going to stop you, take your stuff, and put you out of business. That is not the environment that black men created. You know that they are not in control of their environment. And you know you are more in control of their environment, especially as young people, as kids, as boys, than the men are. So all of that I'm hearing about black men ain't building, black men are worshiping white vagina, and all the other millions of excuses that black women give for their low-level disrespect and contempt for black men is all window dressing. It's all untrue. And when you hit the underlying reasons, the real reasons why black women have contempt for their men and disrespect for their men, go way, way back. It's been that way since they actually came to this, they were actually brought in here to this country, because they can't elevate you to this place where your white counterpart is, which I have demonstrated in many videos. You expect your black man to do something that has never been done any place in the world, where a repressed minority, not a majority, but a repressed minority on its own is supposed to come in and raise itself up to the level of its dominant society, which you know in your heart of hearts can't be done. In your heart of hearts, you know that it can't be done. Because if it could have been done, you would have done it yourself. But since you can't do it yourself, and you feel helpless in this society, you feel oppressed in this society, you feel downtrodden in this society, and you don't like feeling that way, and if you know that you can do nothing to get yourself out of this position, short of leaving this country, and it hurts too much to look in the mirror and point to yourself, you do the next best thing. You point to your man. You point to your man. You point to your boys. And you dump all that angst that you have. And that's really all black men are, is a receptacle for your failures and your depression and your low self-esteem. You take all of that and you make him bear it. You dump all that on him. You push him down till he's lower than you. And then you get mad because now you have to make a relationship with this guy. You have to make a relationship with him as a father. And you have to come full face with how you feel about that black man. You got to come face to face with that. You got to come face to face with the contempt that you feel for that man. I hear my mother say it all the time. How do you balance that disappointment and contempt and disrespect with the fact that you need him to actually survive and be supported in this environment, in this country? Because if he's not there, how do you think Miss Ann's going to treat you? The only reason that you're getting a half a break, I do mean half a break, because all the bullseyes are trained on your black man, and you know it. You know it. Which is another reason. I was just listening to Essence, I think it was Madame Noir, talk about Me Too. And I was expecting them to really go in on black men about Me Too, and they didn't. And I know why. At the end of the day, if you destroy your man, you have nothing. I mean, literally nothing. And you know it. If you destroy your man, your boys, your men, your males, you literally have nothing. So you can't go whole hog on Me Too and all this other kind of stuff that the white women can. White women have a little bit more leeway, not a lot, a little bit more leeway, because their time on the cross is coming too. You know that what you're doing for your men, as far as getting out in the streets and marching for him, getting out and protesting, all that kind of stuff, is not for him. You keep trying to say, well, we're trying to protect you. No, you're not. It's called enlightened self-interest. You know, you could easily get out in that street, easily jump to the other side and allow the attack dogs to go after your men. You can get out of the way, let nature take its course, and trust and believe the dominant society will actually go after those guys. All of them. This stuff has been pent up for a very long time. And if you get out of the way, they'll go after all of them. But at the end of the day, once that is done and your men are destroyed, guess who's next? And you know that. You know that. I was reading Roxanne Dunbar's People's History of the Indigenous People History of the United States. Over and over and over again, what she said, what she was describing, after they got rid of the Braves, do you think they let the squaws go? Do you think they let the squaws go after they got rid of the Braves? You think they allowed the squaws to sit in Massa's house and white people's houses? You got to cozy up with Massa, the white man, in his bed. No, they got rid of the squaws right after the Braves. In your heart of hearts, you know that. So instead of you say, why should you respect your man? Why you should not have contempt for your man? You should be saying, we need to heal this. We need to fix ourselves so that we don't feel this way, so that we, number one, we can give him what he needs, which is the mutual respect that he needs to build a family, and the lack of contempt, so there's no friction, so there's less friction between you and him, so that he can go out and do something. Because that kind of friction, that contempt and that lack of respect, you show it to your boys and they grow up with that psychological damage in their heads. Sometimes you don't view them as human. You don't think that you're damaging your boys, but you are. Saying things about black men, especially where they can hear it, because those are men and you're angry at them. And when your boys hear it, you turn around and say, no, baby, I didn't mean you. Black men may be a lot of things. Black males might be a lot of things. They're not stupid. Yes, they do know that you mean them. And just because you say, no, baby, it doesn't mean that doesn't mean that it's you. Doesn't have any bearing on it, because it's still going to cause damage. Because if a black man said that about black women, and he tried to turn around to his daughter and say, baby, I don't mean that's you, you're not going to take that. You're going to be angry. You're going to say that he damaged you just by saying it about other women. Get out of this bizarro world that thinks things only flow downhill one way. You cannot have this stone in your gut, this hardness in your heart, and turn around and say that you love this black man or black men in general. You can't do it. You can't rectify those two things. It's like some white men saying, I'm racist, but I'm fair. Come on. Let's get real. Let's get real for a minute. Those are the fundamental things the fundamental things that any relationship, business, friendship, parent-child, any human-to-human interaction has to be built on lack of contempt. You can't have contempt for the person that you're with. You can't. It's like a mother cannot have contempt for her children or lack of respect for her children. Otherwise, she's going to be a bad mother. Same thing with a father and his children. Cannot have contempt and lack of respect for your children. Otherwise, you're going to be a bad father. A man cannot marry a woman that he has contempt and lack of respect for. He's going to abuse her. Any woman here, any domestic abuse counselor that's first thing they tell you. If your husband or your significant other has contempt and lack of respect for you, then what's the first thing that they're going to tell you? You need to leave him. You need to leave him. It's the first thing they're going to tell you. You need to get out and go to some place where it's healthy. But you think that you can have lack of respect and contempt for your black man and he's supposed to be with you. Is this on? I'm going to use Jason Black's line. Is this on? Do you hear me? Put yourself in a black man's shoes. Put yourself in a black man's shoes for a second. If you were with a man that showed you disrespect and contempt openly, and you went to a marriage counselor or a domestic abuse counselor, and you said those words and it was acknowledged by that man, the first thing that counselor would tell you to do is leave that man because you're ripe for abuse. But you think you can justify those feelings on your significant other, which happens to be your black man, and he's supposed to stay with you. Does that make sense to you? Black men have to suck it up, go in knowing that black woman he's with, underlying in her heart of hearts, really doesn't have any respect for you and really has contempt for you. And he has to harden his heart. He has to harden his heart because he knows in the back of his mind that you really don't respect him. And you have contempt for him. And every day that if he wants to be with you, he has to actually prove why he's in that place with you. And he knows that any day, any time that you could change your mind and that contempt and that lack of respect is going to pop up and basically ruin a relationship. And he's going to have to go from one woman to the next and start the cycle over again. I have had nothing but black women, nothing but black women. And I can tell you, even the women that were crazy about me and would die for me, that underlying low-level lack of respect and contempt was always there. It's always there. I'm not saying that it's your fault. I'm not going to say that because it's been handed down to you and it has been forged over 100, almost 200 years, really, now. In fact, it has been 200 years. These chains or these links have been forged over 200 years. You're not going to break them overnight. But at the very least, you can acknowledge that they're there and we can work on it. Because the first part of healing a particular problem is admitting that it's there. And this is all that what's going on YouTube is about. It's not a war. It's getting black women to admit that it's there. So then we can go forward and actually kind of work on a problem of the black community in America before it's too late. How I feel about whether it's possible to do it or not, that is a video for another time. But I'm going to close this one out. That's all I got for this one. This is BGS out, and I'll see you guys on the next one.